Good day. I'm Sheila.
I'm Valerie, and we are Today's Litches, and welcome to our program, Sandwich Generation. Yeah, Generation.
All pokered in here.
Yeah. And this is our sort of passion project, Hot Topics from Gen X perspective.
That would be us.
Yeah, parents above and children, grandchildren below. And so, So tonight we are going to start off with What's Up Litches.
What's up?
So you want to start or you want me to?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, What's Up Litches, we are going to spotlight again Pixie Spy design.
Yeah.
So now
Pixie Spy.
Yeah, Pixie Spy design.
Right.
Anyways, I featured it in our last week's episode, and I'll do the same again and put up the contact information in both corners. So one will be Facebook and one will be
Instagram.
You got it.
Right.
Anyway, so we'll feature that because they're going to be doing our aprons for Grandkids Corner.
Right.
So for those,
you'll have to come over to Grandkids Corner and have a look at our new aprons.
Right.
I just found out myself, so
yes, it was a surprise. Yeah. And also our Today's Litches t-shirts.
Yes.
That we will be sporting for you shortly.
There you go.
So anyway, so we'll be able to put that information up, and we wanted to feature them again because obviously we like their work. So we want to keep supporting local business out of Edmonton, and you can order online. So that being said, next segue from Grandkids Corner, just to let you guys know that we've been on a hiatus.
Yeah, we took a week, well, actually 2 weeks off, because this week is also a week off.
So there was no new episode on Friday past, and there won't be this Friday for those following along. But after that, we will have plenty of episodes because we have some good times planned.
Yes.
With the grandkids.
There we go.
So that should be fun. So that's what's coming up on the horizon. And Sheila, can you scoot over there and pick up that big box?
Oh,
because this is a What's Up thing for me.
Show you this.
Yeah. So she's just going to scoot over.
You can start telling them about it.
So I was at Costco recently, and as many of you may know, Costco is always my friend. And so I got this, as you can see. All right, so what it is, it's a Dynatrap XL, and it's supposed to be good for up to an acre, and it's supposed to...
Tell them when you bought it, though.
I bought it Sunday or Monday, and it's rained ever since, so I haven't had the opportunity to use it.
I wanted to take it back so the rain will stop.
Right, but anyway, so I'm going to give it a try, and I'll let you know if it works, because if this works for $100, it's not a bad deal.
$100.
And you get rid of mosquitoes. So we'll see. We'll definitely see.
And you actually get rid of mosquitoes.
We live in Canada, and the mosquitoes are just a given, even in the city.
Everybody knows this.
Awesome. So that's kind of What's Up Litches for us.
And then we can get on with our...
Yes. So this, our hot topic, and I think... are you looking for answers? It actually has to do stemming from
a conversation you and I had
about psychics.
Yes.
Okay. And how
TikTok seems to be overcoming itself with psychics.
Right. Because a lot of people will come on our lives on TikTok and ask if we do readings and stuff like that. So we thought we would. I did
a little background work, just so everybody knows. I did a little bit of background work, and in the background work, I come to find out that there's a lot of people who actually go on to these and onto TikTok and onto the readings,
right? And
they ask a lot of questions. There's a lot, and a lot of people are really involved, and I just want to kind of put it out there because a lot of people ask questions, but I also worry about, Valerie, some of the people that might lose money and stuff too. And I'm not saying that because most the TikTok ones, they're not asking for money up front. I'm sure you can give them the diamonds and all that stuff.
Right.
To.
But then they do have websites where
Yeah,
they are
do,
asking for subscriptions or whatever. And I guess the reason why, and I keep smiling through all of this, because I'm probably a skeptic at heart.
I think a lot of people are, but
However,
everybody's had these psychic phenomena happen in their lives.
Absolutely. And I guess that's what we wanted to talk about. Do I believe that I can dial 1-900 psychic and somebody on the other end is going to be able to, you know, forecast my future?
No. Or talk to the dead.
Or yes. Or
you.
I just, no, I don't believe that. Do I believe that there are people out there that are gifted? Yes, I do.
I'm sure there are. And I believe that some people are very close to the spirit, and I also believe that all of us at sometimes have our own.
Right. And I mean, we've all had an experience, or I'd like to say, we've all had that.
Have you ladies had that experience, or anybody else out there had that experience?
I've really only had 2 experiences in my life that I literally can't explain. So I happened to work in a heritage building. It was an extremely old building, and it went through the Halifax explosion, and it was a heritage site. And we always joked around that there was a ghost. We called her Peggy, and she lived in the courthouse. So anyway, it was a joke.
She's the one who did all the wrong things.
Right. Okay. Anything that went wrong, it was Peggy's fault. Okay. But flash forward. I'm working late one night. Everybody's gone. It's winter. It's dark. I mean, it's probably only just after 5, but it was pitch black out. And I was working at my desk and I was typing, and all of a sudden I look over and the drawer to my desk started opening up right before my very eyes. But that wasn't it. I would have explained it away as, you know, an unstable drawer. It was half open and I just knocked it and you know, whatever. But when it closed all by itself, that's when I lost it. I had a bag and I just threw everything in my bag. I left, and I'll never forget, I came in the next morning and there was a big meeting because somebody forgot to turn on the alarm system and turn off the lights, and the whole courthouse was open all night. But anyways, so that happened. And another time I came up the stairs and there was a little girl. And she was in front of me, and I turned around and came back, you know, one of those moments, and I was going to say something and she was gone. So that was one of those moments. But we've all had
like things where, for instance, I know this sounds really strange to some people, but I had a dream and it scared me enough that I didn't allow my daughter to go to school the next day. I kept her home, and I found out that the 2 kids that she was playing with, I just want to quickly say neither one of them were seriously injured, but they decided to cross a very shallow pond lake that was in front of our house and fell through.
Right.
But they were able to get out. But those 2 children are the 2 children that my child would have been walking to school with. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then another time, I had been in bed sleeping and woke up to a nightmare of a plane hitting a tower. And approximately a month later, the planes hit the tower. A plane hit the towers. Well, now that might have just been a dream. I don't know. A coincidence. But I've never had those kind of dreams.
Do you remember
before or after?
When we were children, you know, the deja vus, all of that. I find as we get older, we almost push all push all of that aside. Like we push that away, right? As we get older. But when we're younger, I believe we kind of sense more.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm just saying,
they say, you know, and those who are religious and that believe that children are closer to the angels because they're just, you know, coming into their soul
because of their innocence,
right? But I also think a lot of it is that, you know, what society believes is and isn't right to say or do. So a lot of children, maybe without being told, are told not to.
Well, and there's weird things, like just strange things that happen that you can't explain.
Right.
Like my granddaughter, when she was younger, she's 5 now, but I think when she was about 3, she used to talk to somebody. One day I got curious, and because it was freaking my daughter out, and I was sitting there and I was talking to her and I was like, well, who? And she just kept saying the man. Right?
Yeah.
And that's all she kept saying was the man. And he was really nice and funny. And then when I said, well, what's his name? She honestly turned around, she was on my lap, and pointed at the picture and said, Granddad, which happens to be
her granddad had passed
away. Right. So, and I thought that's so weird, right? But you never know. And I guess I'm open to the possibility.
Well, I believe that everybody has their beliefs. And I also believe they have the right to. So I'm not smashing people or anything. That's not it.
I just don't want to see
also
people waste.
Like to see people wasting their time or their money on trying to get answers. One of the things I saw
when you already have them.
When we were right. One of the things I saw when I was on there was this one lady was like, I've really wanted to change my career my whole life. I finally got around to it. Am I doing the right thing? Well, at that point, you've made the decision. So absolutely, you're doing the right thing. If you're getting those kind of questions,
right,
you usually already have the answer. It's just sometimes really hard to face.
No, but sometimes you're looking for affirmation.
Yes,
right,
or affirmation that somebody's there, like, or is it sometimes we need affirmation because someone's passed in our life, someone's so close to us, and we want to believe that person's with us all the time. And of course they are, and I believe that, but I also think sometimes people become so low in themselves or in life that they can start to look for other people to affirm that those people are with them.
Right.
When you don't need that, those people are with you.
Right.
Right. But but they almost need somebody to tell them. It's going to psychics and that. I'm not saying psychics are good or psychics are bad. And if you're going to them, that's your choice.
Right. And I'm not even saying they're all frauds or anything like that.
I'm sure there's plenty of good.
I guess if you're looking for answers, the true answer comes within yourself.
Yes.
I guess that's the point.
A lot of it, yeah.
Sometimes just talking about something, you already know the answer by just talking it out. But the reality is sometimes we're always looking for that affirmation that we're making the right decision.
I think a lot of times that's what we're looking for.
Well, and I think if you've made some bad decisions, you're afraid that, is this going to be the next bad decision?
Right. Or, but or you could look at it as you've made bad decisions that have helped lead you to a point of making better ones.
Absolutely.
I guess it all depends on how you see those bad decisions or those things in it.
And again, it's the negative positive. You can take the positive out of it, or you can live in the negative of the situation. It's a choice.
But we were talking about earlier, I worry about the ones who get on TikTok or whatever, and you become involved in this need for this affirmation or for this for someone to make a decision for you, because maybe sometimes we're just afraid to make decisions. We talked about that too, fear.
Exactly, but there are some people out there that, quite honestly, even very famous people, that do not make decisions without involving their psychic or with, and okay, if that's what works for you. I guess I'm just saying that not everybody out there, the majority of the population, doesn't have that unique ability.
No.
And I just don't think it's something.
And I think it's weird that we get into this whole, one of the reasons that we got into this is because a lot of seniors are being taken now.
Yes.
Because a lot of seniors are at home and now they have the ability, a lot of them
on the internet
are on the internet a lot more.
On TikTok.
And they start to hone in on people who are asking those questions. So you start getting more of those advertisements for a psychic and stuff like this. And
Right.
before long, our seniors are being pulled in, and not just our seniors, ourselves too, into because we're Gen Xers and we're one of the biggest users of psychics, by the way.
I did not know that.
Yeah, we are.
See?
Isn't that
You
something?
learned something.
So Gen Xers are one of the biggest users. So we're one of the ones asking the questions.
Apart from being adaptable,
right?
That's our generation, is the most adaptable generation. Our generation also seeks guidance from psychics more so than any other generation.
Yes.
Okay. So maybe this really isn't as much of a senior problem as it is.
But I find it interesting. Problem. We also have less people following religion per se. Religion.
Oh.
Don't you find that interesting? Oh. So less people are actually following designated religions, and more people are now tending to follow astrology and
ouch.
And
okay, I see.
Psychics.
I see what you're saying. So yeah.
So there's a real
question.
Are we always seeking some kind of a question? We're always doing this, right?
Well, yeah, but that also begs the question: can religion and science exist? And I say yes, it can.
Yes, absolutely.
But I mean, that's a whole different topic.
Yeah,
and
we're not even into that.
We were just
we're just talking about psychics in general and how everybody. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you find it interesting, because we did. We found it super interesting.
That people spend so much money.
It's becoming its own
looking
industry.
For answers.
It's becoming its own industry, ladies and gents. It's actually becoming its own industry. And I concern myself with that, because it's kind of a state of mankind that we're looking to stars and again,
and for those those of you who know me, I am a huge sci-fi person.
Okay.
Huge. And I mean, I'm deep into the cosmos and all this, and the Big Bang Theory and string theory and all of that. But I say both can exist, because I'm Christian. Right.
Yes.
And I do believe in a higher power. I do believe in Jesus Christ. But I think science and religion can coexist.
Absolutely.
If we stop getting lied to.
Right.
But
this is part of this conversation goes to part of what we're speaking about let's go back to psychics in general, and people constantly asking the questions. So let's go back to where we were talking about when you're asking the question.
Yes.
What is it we're going to psychics for? Because if you ask them, if you go online and you see them in action, because I did, I went on, I was watching, a lot of people are wanting to talk to the people who've passed.
Okay.
Almost, from what I gather, almost everybody was like, do you see my aunt, or have you talked to my uncle, or is it, and they'll say, it's a man in a white coat who always says this, and then it's this person, and
there was a period in time where I would have called all of it
hocus pocus
bullshit. Really.
Yeah.
I would have. However,
not anymore.
No. However, a unique experience happened to me, and I still to this day cannot explain it. They have health and wellness, and especially if you work for the government, it was Health and Wellness Week, and one of the things they did for us was provided us all with free Reiki sessions. So anybody who knows anything about Reiki, it's to do with energies, right? Anyway, so I went to this Reiki session, and when I got in, I was laying down on the table. And as I was laying down on the table, the lady who was doing the Reiki session started sneezing and sneezing and sneezing.
Right.
And then she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize, but there's somebody else in the room with us." And I just kind of looked around, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
no. And she goes, "No, no." And then she said, something about, well, has anybody passed that's a fisherman? Which I kind of chuckled because although this was in Halifax on the East Coast, we are not from there, and we do not have
fishermen in our blood.
So
we might know some, but we don't have
I'm
any.
thinking, okay, she's going down. Of course, how do you get? Of course, you think I'm from the East Coast. You just
absolutely
think there's a fisherman. And then I said, nope, no one in my family is a fisherman. And she goes, "Are you sure? Are you really sure? Because I have this gentleman standing up holding this great big huge fish, and he keeps telling me to ask you if you remember Rosedale." And at first, it didn't hit me. And then, like a ton of bricks, it hit me. And it was where my grandfather caught this great big huge fish, and everybody had to take pictures, and you got leeches on you. Anyways, but it was this big production, and there is nobody else in the world that would know. And there is nowhere in Nova Scotia or close to Nova Scotia called Rosedale, right? And only there's
we knew.
And
then she came to my house.
And then it hit me so bad that when I left, I drove right over the bridge, Halifax Bridge, right to Sheila's house, because I was like, I couldn't believe it, right? But anyways, one of those situations, and there's no way she could have known any of that. No way. And that's when I realized, okay, maybe there is something to this, and maybe people can.
Well, right? Well, remember, and that's part of what we talked about, Val, was the fact that we've all had these experiences where we know of good psychics or whatever, or you think you know of a good psychic, or
somebody who has.
And I guess what we're saying is not
abilities.
saying, and people have unique abilities, but we're not saying that. What we're saying is, and that's why I could never call them frauds or anything, because I've not seen that.
What I'm saying
though is you
how
have
many
to be
of these
careful.
Yes.
I guess being, especially seniors.
Yes.
You need to be careful about that information, and that a lot of people, it's better to have a relationship with that person. Make sure you're getting, I guess you're getting what you pay for.
Yes.
Don't get taken.
Well, the thing is that this isn't to push any industry down or anything. That's not what it's about.
It's an entire industry.
My thought on the subject is that, yes, there are individuals out there that I believe are gifted.
Truly gifted.
Yeah. I believe that we all have a sixth sense.
Absolutely.
Whether or not we choose to use it or not.
Or listen to it.
But the reality is that but I don't believe that I can dial 1-900 and the person on the other end of the phone
knows me or my circumstance well enough to.
Exactly. And I guess that was my point more than anything else. Just don't like to see people get taken, right? And
there's plenty in the world that would like to take you, and especially if it's a senior citizen,
right? But apparently, we're the ones calling these places more so than baby boomers.
But they've noticed this very steady increase in seniors now.
Well, and so that might have to do with the times too, and of course, the
open access to the internet now.
Well, and COVID.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but of course,
got nothing better to do.
Right. So
let's see what the psychic says is going to happen next year.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But no, I mean, I guess what we're saying is there are a lot of really good and gifted people out there that can do all those things, and if I guess but we all have answers to questions, and sometimes we're asking questions we already have answers to.
Happens to me all the time.
You know?
And then as I'm talking about it, I realize, yeah, I get it.
It's kind of like when I remember telling my kids a good guide to knowing when you're doing right from wrong. Remember I said this to you?
Yeah.
I always told my kids, you'll know if you're doing right from wrong if it's something that you're going to be proud of to tell your parents or your grandparents.
Right.
Is this something you've done in pride?
Right. Like,
Or,
oh, look, I got an A.
Yeah.
Or are you going to hide the F?
Right.
Right. Okay.
Get it?
Yes.
Okay. So that's how I would tell my kids if they, a good judge was when they were out making decisions when they were 13, 14, and 15, when you're starting to give them the chance to make their own decisions, So,
yeah.
Anyways.
All right. So now let's move on to Dear Litches.
Dear Litches.
Okay. So, we had this situation that came in, and it's actually a situation that happens quite a bit.
Yeah.
Actually quite a bit. And it's couples and arguments, and we all
Where's
have
the
them.
line?
Where do you draw them? And we all have them.
Yeah.
And I call it the marriage game.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some have been explosive. Like
right.
Some have been more mediated and growing pains, I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
So
age related.
I think so. And I think this more so speaks to the younger generation than the older generation. But hey, we've all been there. What's acceptable and what isn't acceptable. And,
drawing the line.
Drawing the aggression. I guess that's what it comes down to, aggression. Yeah. Forms of aggression. Maybe it's not a direct aggression like I'm going to push you, shove you.
Yeah, it's not physical. We're not talking about
physical or anything like that, but aggression or showing aggression in other ways. Right. More of an intimidation factor. And I mean, we all play, I call it the marriage game in different ways. And I know my husband and I, we negotiated our arguments, and over years, though it's taken years.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm 30 some years in with Phil.
Yeah.
And we've had some humdingers. I like to call them humdingers.
Yeah.
But there's always lines that you draw, or you've had to draw. You
do.
For instance, breaking things. Smashing fists and walls. And I call them temper tantrums. That's what I call them when you
used to have a lot of them.
A lot of them when I was young.
Yes. Yeah, when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I gotta say though, you learn over time that it's just wrong, right?
Well, I think
because it's intimidating the other person. It's making them either not say anything or say something or do something, or there's something that will stop at that point. There's no communication. Communication stops.
Right. But I think how this came in is where do you draw the line when you're in a relationship and the argument goes beyond just an argument to the point of maybe a form of aggression, not so much physical aggression, but it could be verbal.
Yes.
Right.
That's some of the worst.
Yeah. It could be verbal aggression. Or
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And where do you draw the line? Well, when the line has to be drawn.
It has to be drawn
by yourself.
Yeah.
Right. You create your own healthy boundaries. Nobody else can do that for you. I can tell you one thing. If you accept the behavior, it will continue.
Of course.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
It's not going to change. If you don't accept the behavior, and I say change the marriage game.
Yeah.
See, people use in the marriage game tactics that always work for them. Right. If stomping around the house and slamming doors gets you the result that you're looking for, then you're going to continue to do it. If it doesn't get the result, some people will up the ante. But the reality is that it is your decision.
Right.
Right. Completely one. You cannot argue by yourself.
Nope.
You can't.
Nope.
And you cannot argue effectively when you're angry.
No.
If you ask me.
And you're never, you know, when you're angry and you're explosive like that, the other person, it becomes intimidated. So they're not going to say anything that's going to continue that behavior, right?
Right.
They're not going to say or do anything that's going to continue you being that way.
Being passive.
It's a control thing.
Yes, being passive. If you don't accept the behavior, you have to draw the line at some point.
Yeah.
Right. You being passive about it, it's
not going to fix anything.
It doesn't fix anything. It's going to continue, and the only way it doesn't is if you have that conversation. Yeah. Right. And it's a conversation
about where this
whenever if it's always been acceptable behavior and then all of a sudden it isn't, the other party doesn't understand that because it was always accepted before. If you're going to change the rules of the marriage game, you got to let the other party know what you're doing.
Right.
Because a lot of people do that. All of a sudden,
something they want to change something.
Right, or something isn't acceptable anymore, but they don't inform the other party.
Yeah, right? And the other party has the right to know what you do or don't, or what your lines are.
Well,
and so you have to, you know, and I've said this before. It's not really, people go, oh, well, you know, it's like drawing a line in the sand. No, I'm actually the opposite. I believe in drawing it in stone. You know, there has to be a line.
They're called deal breakers.
Yeah.
Right.
People call them deal breakers. I just call them, you know, my lines drawn in stone.
I call them deal breakers. Yeah. Like whatever. And it varies between people.
And I mean, like I said, we grew up together too, I think.
Yes. And in my circumstance.
Yes,
you did.
So in our circumstance, you know, we went from being, when we had an argument, to acting like children, because we were.
Right.
To acting more like grown children, because we were, to acting like adults.
Because you are.
Because we are. Yeah. And now acting like grown adults.
Because you are.
Right. Yeah. And there is that difference because the way we argued when we were 16, 17, 18 years old.
And I think everybody out there can attest to the fact that we all mellow as we get older. Like,
because we start realizing that we can have as many temper tantrums as we like. The world ain't going the way we want it to.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the thing is that what you said, we just basically, we realize as we get older that, things aren't the same.
No.
Right.
And our arguments grow up.
I call it
we've grown up.
Yeah. And I call it my give a shits.
Yes.
Because what I used to give a shit about on all my little give a shits, really in the grand scheme of things.
But then in other things you get anal. Come on now. I'm not going to. Yeah, there's other things.
But we all do this. And
everybody starts becoming very,
Yes. We become, I think as we get older, maybe our horizons are broadened and we realize that life's too short to sweat the small stuff.
And on that note, we're going to call it a night.
We are. And we hope we gave you something to chew on. And we hope we'll see you back next week. Have a good week, everybody.
Love you all.
Bye.
Bye.